The episode opens up with Arisu, Usagi, Kuina, and Chishiya gathering at the Shibuya intersection, where Arisu started his first game. Despite waiting for over an hour, no game announcements or instructions area displayed on the screen. In the meanwhile, Usagi starts to hear a mysterious noise coming from a distance. She focuses on it for a while, until several individuals arrive in their vehicles and announce that the game has just started. Kuina recognizes them as the Beach people and they are there to join the game. Surprising everyone, out of nowhere, Sumiya starts shooting the players, causing them to run around to find a safe place to hide. Arisu, Usagi, Kuina, and Chishiya also run towards safety. None of the participants can identify the sound or the location from where an assault rifle is being fired and killing the people. They have no choice but to flee and wander without pausing. Seeing the chaos, Arisu suggests his group disperse and find a place to hide on their own. After this, they try to dodge the bullets and hide behind the cars parked on the roadside. While they are hiding, a massive King of Spades as a card affixed to a moving plane comes flying over them in the sky. Seeing this, Arisu realizes that the person who is shooting at them is the King of Spades and that there is only one persona in charge of the shooting. Following their split, Arisu and Usagi are able to locate hiding places. Right then, Arisu notices a guy in a mask and wearing a black coat approaching them, and everyone assumes that he is the actual King of Spades. The masked guy starts shooting around and killing people roaming around the streets. Arisu tries to save a boy lying injured at the side of the road, but sadly when he and Usagi bring him behind a car, they find that he is already dead. Kuina and Chishiya are also hiding behind the car beside them. They now realize that they have nowhere to go and are going to get killed by the masked man aka the King of Spades. Fortunately, Arisu sees Ann driving a car and stops right in front of them. Tata comes out of the window and asks the group to get in as fast as possible. Everyone manages to enter the car except Chishiya. Sadly, when he is about to enter, he notices a grenade near the car thrown by the masked man and asks Ann and the group to leave without him. Tatya then drives away from the place and takes the group toward a Safia place. Kuina seems worried about Chishiya but Arisu assures her that Chishiya is a brave man and that he can take care of himself. As soon as Tatya drives them away from the gunshot scene, the group starts discussing various hypotheses about Myra's nature and her presence in the game. In addition, the city as a whole is the battleground. The plane's widespread flight indicates that this time, the entire metropolis is the playing field for the game. On the other hand, Myra can be seen relishing the massacre in spite of all the anguish. Moving on, when the group is trying their best to be alive, the masked man kills 4 other participants in a car and steals their car to follow the group. Soon, he approaches Arisu and the group and starts shooting at them. Seeing Tatya driving very slowly, Ann takes over the driving seat and drives the car at full speed, crashing it in the middle of the road. Luckily, no one gets hurt. Right then, the masked Mana also arrives there and he continues to shoot at people. Everyone runs to the nearby building and in this spree, and separates from the group. Later in the evening, rather than keep hiding in the same building, Arisu and Usagi leave to find some food for the group, while Tatya and Kuina go to find a vehicle to move around. Moments later, Tatya and Kuina arrive at a car showroom where Itati selects a beautiful and expensive car for their ride and expresses his happiness that he does not have to pay for it. Despite such freedom, Tatya still wants to return to the real world and to live with his family, to which Kuina also agrees. Meanwhile, Arisu and Usagi enter a grocery store and collect all the edible items they can find. While picking the food, Arisu remembers his friends and the time he spent with them and gets emotional. At the same time, Usagi reveals to him that she always wanted to be a saleswoman and packs the food items in a bag. Before leaving the store, Usagi notices a magazine with her late father's picture posted on the front page and tells Arisu that she wants to stay in this gaming world and does not want to return to the human world. Listening to her part of the story, Arisu promises to protect her and to be by her side all the time. Later, while Arisu and Usagi are walking another road, carrying the food supplies, Tatya and Kuina arrive there in a car and drive away after Arisu and Usagi get inside. The following morning, the group deduces that there is no end to the game and if they continue hiding, the masked man will eventually find them and kill them. Then, Arisu and the group start to map out their locations to get more specific information about other games to join them. Arisu tells his group that in order to remain alive in the game, they need to outperform the masked man, interfering with the game master's strategy, and evoking more information. Since Karube games are all about cooperation and teamwork, Arisu and his group decide to follow the King of Clubs as it floats around the port. Moreover, he mentions that the King card could provide additional information. Without wasting any time, the group leaves the area in their car and arrives at the location where a big card of the King of Spades is floating. When they arrive at a container-filled place, they notice 5 bracelets placed on a table, but according to the regulations, there need to be 5 participants before the game can start. To their surprise, suddenly, Nagi shows up and mentions that he has already worn one of the bracelets. Everyone is shocked to see him alive despite being burnt in the fire. One by one, the group members put on the bracelet, and as soon as they do so, a gate opens up, taking them to the game arena. As soon as they step inside the gate, other individuals show up. The King of Clubs also introduces himself as Kuma, and for some weird reason, he is naked. He addresses each of the players from his team and also explains the reason for standing without clothes. He mentions that nudism is a respectable practice and a social movement with centuries of history. He argues that clothing is a product of humans and is not always necessary for survival. The discovery that Kuma and his group are residents of this realm astounds Arisu and his group. Moving on, we are shown a flashback of Kuma's team when they used to work as a rock music band and Kuma used to be their lead singer. Back to the present, Kuma tells Arisu and his group that he is the leader and that he created this game along with his teammate, Shitaura. Shitaura then clears that this is a brand new experience for them as well because despite being a part of this world, Kuma and his team have never appeared in game as together. Next, Kuma reveals to Arisu that they two are fighting for their lives and whichever a team loses, all of the members will get killed. The game soon starts, and Kuma assigns Ida the name Osmosis. He then begins informing the rules of the game to the other group. He says that the game duration is 2 hours, and throughout the course of the game both teams will be collecting points and the winning side will be the team with more points at the end of the game. Additionally, he mentions that each team starts out with 10,000 points and before the game starts, the participants will need to distribute 30 points among themselves in whichever amount they want. Kuma then goes on to specify 3 ways to obtain points in this game: fighting the opponent, discovering hidden equipment, and touching the opponent's space. Kuma goes on to explain that the individual points are displayed on the bracelet and that they can also team up to combine their score and attack an opponent without earning any points. The individual is not allowed to know about the opponent's score. Talking about the base rules, Kuma states that if an individual touches the opponent's base pole, then he or she can earn 10,000 points for the team, which will create a great impact on the game. However, there's a twist: the player who will try to touch the opponent's base will be shot down by the laser from the top of the post guard and will also lose 10,000 points. Now with the actual game about to start, Arisu and the squad should keep in mind the game regulations. Next, the game begins and both teams disperse in different directions. The entire strategy for allocating the points is devised by Arisu, who predicts that the fast runners would receive fewer points while the slow runners would receive more in accordance with his pattern study. He then places Tatya to guard the base, giving him the fewest points possible, and divides the remaining 4 into 2 groups. Usagi and Mirage go out first to collect points by touching the opponents, while Arisu and Kuina start searching for the hidden items. After some time, Usagi and Ragi manage to touch an opponent and get some points. Similarly, Kuina also finds a hidden item and earns 2,000 points from it. Sadly, as soon as Kuina and Arisu come out of the container after collecting their points, Kuma can be seen waiting for them outside. He tries to manipulate the two to fight him, but Arisu decides to battle with him alone. Surprisingly, as soon as Kuma touches him, Arisu receives 2,000 points, making Kuma the loser. Later, Kuina and Arisu manage to corner Chota and engage him in combat for a victory of 2,000 points. The major error made by Kuma is allocating the points evenly among the entire team. After knowing that Arusi's team is ahead of them by 6,000 points, Chota and Kuma decide to target Tata, who is immediately defending the base. They deduce that it's the only way to come back into the game. Despite the risk of losing their lives in the process, Kuma and his team, except Yuta, approach Chota while Arusi's squad is occupied looking for the hidden objects. When Chota notices that Kuma's squad is getting ready to attack, he taps the base and changes his points to infinite. During the attack, Goken, Kuma, and Maki manage to touch the opponent's base pole, but Chota is unable to do so because Tata touches him, resulting in Chota losing all of his points and being immediately eliminated from the squad. After this strategy, the King's team leads by 4,000 points. With their team on the losing side, Raja's squad is now forced to split up once more and search for valuable items to gain back the lead. They make the decision to acquire anything that will enable them to raise their points. As soon as everyone disperses, the King team starts to pursue each of them in an effort to score additional points. Kuma's team members manage to touch Kuina and use Agia to get their points. While this is going on, Arisu discovers an item, but unfortunately, Yuta touches it before him and gains an additional 3,000 points, making her team lead by 12,000 points. Right then, Kuma also arrives there and tells Arisu that the game is cruel and reminds him that it's not an individual but a team sport. The King team is ahead by 12,000 points with 38 minutes to go, so Arisu and the team need to come up with a comprehensive plan to win the game. After contemplating for a bit of time, Arisu comes up with a strategy to attack Kuma's base. He mentions that if only two of his team players touch base, they can score 20,000 points and gain the lead. Since this is their only remaining alternative, all of them agree with Arisu. They make the decision to disperse and agitate the opponents. Usagi succeeds in diverting Goken's attention, but the other players from Kuma's team persist in surrounding their team's base. Kuma, Maki, and Yuta touch the base, earning them infinite points. Now, Arusi's team has to be extra careful because if they get touched by either of Welcome to Recap Mystery Kuma's team members with infinite points, they will get killed and also lose the 10,000 points. On the count of 3, Arusi, Kuina, and Ragi run towards Kuma's base. Kuina distracts Maki and Arisu electrocute Kuma as his bracelet is inactive. Ragi takes this opportunity and touches the base, dodging Yuta. As soon as he does so, he goes to fight Maki and lets Kuina run toward the base. Sadly, Yuta and Maki team up and succeed in pushing Kuina away from the base and earning 500 points for their team. With only about 20 minutes to go, Kuma's team is still leading by 3,000 points. In the next scene, while all the other team members are regretting and sitting alone, Arusi is still trying to find some other ways to gain points. Unlike her team members, Usagi refuses to give up and makes the decision to fight back. She starts searching for the last remaining item and succeeds in finding it, gaining her team 2,500 additional points. On the other hand, Ragi seems to be in a critical condition, having lost a lot of blood throughout the game. As his life is about to end, Ragi turns his back on his teammates and attacks Usagi. When she tries to fight back, he knocks her unconscious by slamming her head against the ground. Realizing that his team requires additional 500 points to level the score, Arisu decides to attack Kuma's base for the points. The episode ends with Arisu running towards Kuma's base to gain additional points to make his team win.